Hey everyone, this is going to be a reply to BionicDance. Not to any video in particular, and I don't want to get too far into the drama end of YouTube, especially with what's been going on between BionicDance and Awesome Rant, Skeptical Heretic, Peach, among others. But I was made aware while watching a video by Cardinal Virtues about a comment that BionicDance left on one of her videos, and I'll leave the comment section below so you can see for yourself. And it's something that a lot of atheists say, and it's something that's irked me for quite a while. So BionicDance said, quote, when talking about moderate theists, she says, quote, "Well, I do and I don't have a problem with them, with some of them. I think the moderates should speak out against the fundies, if only to tell them to stop giving the moderates a bad name. If they don't speak out, it's like giving the fundies tacit permission or support to continue as they are, and I have a problem with that. Otherwise, no, I don't really have a problem with moderates, not one big enough to speak out about anyway." See, when atheists say things like that, it pisses me off. And I've heard a lot of atheists say it, being around on YouTube as far back as I have. I'm basically like a veteran on here now. First off, it seems from the wording that you use, BionicDance, that every single moderate should be speaking up against the fundamentalists, and you won't be satisfied until that's the case. Well, what about the people who say, you know, for all they know, they are the only liberal in their community, you know, a place where they could potentially be completely ostracized and shunned. You know, there are going to be perfectly valid reasons why some moderates can't speak out, whether it's fear for their safety or being completely cut off by family or friends. But you don't seem to acknowledge these nuances, and instead seem to see the world as very kind of black and white, which I know is a common criticism that you get. Second, you also seem to think that moderates have an obligation to call out the fundies, which I would contest. Now, I see why they think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good idea. I very much encourage it. But the only way I could even remotely agree with that is if it's your own particular denomination. For example, say, I don't see why Anglicans should need to call out an extreme Baptist, because it's obvious that they don't agree with the Baptists, or else they would be Baptists themselves. The particular denomination people join is proof that they don't agree with other denominations and their certain reading of the Bible. If someone who has a particular interpretation of the Bible does something bad, theists who have a different interpretation than that do not need to answer and speak out about what other theists with different morals do. So this is what a lot of people don't seem to understand. While there are a lot of people who believe in the Bible as their sort of basic belief, they branch out radically. You know, they have very, very different morals and values, many different people. They could have different opinions about the authorship of different parts of the Bible, taking different things literally or, you know, metaphorically, on homosexuality, on abortion, on the role of women in the church, on sex, on equality, political ideology, you know, etc. Many different things like that. Even though they may both believe in the Bible, I would say that the Quakers would have very, very little in common with the Westboro Baptist Church. They can and do live very different lives from one another, and so to say, generally speaking, this subjective group of moderates should speak out against this subjective group of fundies is flawed. It ignores the work of a hell of a lot of people and groups, and shows your lack of knowledge in the area. Now, to help out BionicDance and anyone else who thinks this way, that moderates don't really speak up, I've provided a few links in the description bar that you'll be able to go and see where moderates have been fighting and speaking out, have been and will do for quite some time. So first, let's go to a link from BBC News about religious groups calling for gay marriage in Scotland. I'll quote this. 5 religious groups are joining together to call for same-sex marriage to be allowed in Scotland. The Unitarians, Quakers, Metropolitan Community Church, Pagan Federation and Liberal Judaism are backing members of the Scottish Youth Parliament in their campaign on the issue. Ministers are currently holding a consultation on same-sex marriages. At the moment, gay couples can have a civil ceremony but cannot take place in religious premises. Civil partnerships can only be registered by civil registrars. The Scottish Youth Parliament and many gay rights campaigners want that to change. So there's quite a few groups of religious people fighting for the rights of gay people in Scotland. And some of the same churches have also been doing the same in the UK, in another link I'll leave below. Quote, religious groups keen to hold gay marriages in their churches are meeting with Labour today to organise how to force the government's hand on the issue. Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper is organising the conference with representatives from the Church of England, the Quakers, Liberal Jews and the Unitarian and Free Church in Westminster. David Cameron was right to support same-sex marriage. He must not be deterred now by opposition within his own party and beyond, Cooper said. We need the government to move forward with an early debate in Parliament rather than letting the issue stall. The conference intends to stop the government from dragging its feet over the issue, which was not present in the Queen's speech, and also allow churches the freedom to hold religious same-sex marriages. Now see, again, there are more churches not only, fighting for the rights of gay people, but also saying they don't mind them having them in the church. Staying with Britain, what about Majid Nawaz? I'm hoping I'm pronounced that correctly, but I doubt it. He is a former member of the Islamic political group Hizb ut-Tahrir. Again, my apologies to anyone who actually speaks Arabic. He is the co-founder and executive director of Quilliam, which is a think tank. It's the world's first counter-extremism think tank. And he is also the co-founder of Khudi, which is a counter-extremism social movement towards the promotion of social democratic change in Pakistan. We also have Irshad Manji. She's the founder and director of the Moral Courage Project at New York University School of Public Service, in case you want some American examples. This leadership program equips students to challenge political correctness, intellectual conformity and self-censorship within their families, communities and organizations. As a reformist Muslim, Irshad strives to put moral courage into practice. Her latest book, Allah, Liberty and Love, is a guide to reconciling faith and freedom in a world raging with repressive dogmas. And she is also the founder and president of a charitable foundation called Project Ijtihad, a campaign to renew Islam's own tradition of creative thinking. And Project Ijtihad has actually composed the first ever Islamic blessing of interfaith marriage. This blessing, posted online in 20 languages, allows young Muslims, especially women, to marry non-Muslims without fear. How about the Americans United for the Separation of Church and State? Since 1992, it's been headed by Barry Lynn, who, as well as a long-time activist and lawyer in the civil liberties field, is an ordained minister at the United Church of Christ. So here is an actual ordained minister fighting to keep church and state separated. Not enough for you? How about progressivechristianity.org, a website that is a big network for progressive Christians all around the world. In fact, I'll leave the UK version of this particular group in the below bar as well. They have 8 points, and I just want to pick out number 3. Number 3 says they are Christians who seek community that is inclusive of all people, including but not limited to conventional Christians and questioning skeptics, believers and agnostics, women and men, those of all sexual orientations and gender identities, and those of all classes and abilities. So there are lots of different people and groups out there trying to do what they can to fight against the repressive dogma of religion, something that a lot of people agree with, but some atheists will just outright either ignore this, or they'll just claim that they're not doing enough. And I'm not finished yet. How about the blog spot Christians Tired of Being Misrepresented? Quote, if you are frustrated with public figures or outspoken Christians who speak and act in ways that do not represent who Jesus Christ is, unconditional love, forgiveness, and an advocate to be rejected by society, join us as we challenge them in their lies and bigotry in a creative and constructive way. So there we have a blog spot written by people who are being tired of not seeing their Christianity represented and are fighting back against the lies and bigotry that the right wing evangelicals have been portraying in the news, that they're the ones who get a lot of attention, and they're fighting back the way that they know how, through the internet. This is a very good thing. Okay, how about the International Association of Liberal Religious Women? Their mission statement, quote, the International Association of Liberal Religious Women is a global membership organisation of women of faith committed to promoting equality for all and economic and social justice. We strive to embody and nurture a spirit of generosity and trust which encourages care, education, networking and financial support for women, especially those in impoverished and difficult circumstances. The organisation is dedicated to building a culture of peace and justice for all. We inspire to achieve our full potential as we partner across all boundaries to work for women and children's well-being, education and self-actualization. Now, these women have probably done a lot more than, you know, most atheists have ever done, but you know, apparently atheists, you know, some atheists can't see what they're doing, you know, that we're just fucking blind to it. So this is what pisses me off. All these links, they did not take me this long. It's not hard to find a lot of moderate religious people fighting back against, you know, the extremism and the fundamentalist dogma that pervades, you know, fundamentalism and extremism. Okay, this was in the news recently. How about the group of Roman Catholic nuns that began a 9-state bus tour protesting proposed federal budget cuts, the Paul Ryan plan? They were even getting in trouble with the Vatican. Let me just find that. Okay, here it is. After a 2-year investigation, the Vatican concluded the leadership conference of women religious had undermined Roman Catholic teaching with radical feminist themes and taking positions that undermined Catholic teaching on the all-male priesthood, marriage, and homosexuality. The nuns were being told, you know, we're not going to be, you know, stifled by, you know, the religious dogma. You know, they're going to fight out against it, and they're going to fight against what they believe is, you know, the teachings of the Bible. And that doesn't bother me at all when you have these nuns talking about, you know, doing more social welfare, you know, giving more money to the poor. You know, if it comes from a religious place, then, you know, it does not bother me in the slightest. But let's move away from Christianity and go towards a religion that many people would say is a lot bigger problem than Christianity, Islam. And let's find some liberal Muslim groups like the Muslims for Progressive Values. On their Our Principle page, their number 2 principle is equality, and they say, quote, "We affirm the equal worth of all human beings regardless of race, sex, gender, ethnicity, nationality, creed, sexual orientation or ability. We are committed to work towards societies that ensure social, political, educational and economic opportunities for all." Their third principle says in part, quote, "We believe that secular government is the only way to achieve the Islamic ideal of freedom from compulsion in matters of faith." So, hey, seem more like alright guys to me. There's also the Muslim Canadian Congress. On the MCC mission page, they say, quote, "We believe in the separation of religion and state in all matters of public policy. We feel such a separation is a necessary prerequisite to building democratic societies where religious, ethnic and racial minorities are accepted as equal citizens enjoying full dignity and human rights enunciated in the 1948 United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights." So that's a couple of Muslim groups, but how about the other Judeo-Christian religion that we haven't talked about yet, Judaism? Well, here we have the World Union for Progressive Judaism that has more than 1,200 progressive, liberal, reform and reconstructionist congregations around the world, and advocates for social justice and fostering interfaith understanding. There's also a group on Facebook which is rather popular called the Christian Left, so if you feel like you want to like that and see what's going on with other people, other moderate theists, then feel free to go and like that page. There's also a news story I found out about liberal religious activists rallying in the nation's capital. I'll quote this. "The past weekend, hundreds of liberal Christians from across the nation, including the religious left elite, convened from the 10th annual Ecumenical Advocacy Days for Global Peace and Justice. Its theme this year was 'Is This the Fast I Seek?' The rally culminated with demonstrations outside the US Supreme Court for Obamacare." So again, hundreds of Christians travelling from all across the country to one place to fight for Obamacare, for a better healthcare system for the entire nation. Were there any atheist groups that had hundreds of members from across the nation convening onto Washington DC in support of Obamacare? I don't think so. Don't worry, I've nearly finished. How about Call to Action? They are a Catholic movement working for equality and justice in the church and society. Their mission is to educate, inspire and activate Catholics to act for justice and build inclusive communities through a lens of anti-racism and anti-oppression principles. There was also the story that when the White House had a mandate for insurers to provide free contraception coverage to employees, there was a lot of Catholic bishops that opposed that, but there were other Catholic groups that actually endorsed the plan, like James Saltz, the executive director of a liberal group called Catholics United. He said, quote, "The Catholic bishops and their allies in the Republican Party are increasingly isolated." and also that the bishop's blanket opposition appears to serve the interests of a political agenda, not the needs of the American people. So here were Catholic bishops actually standing up to other Catholic bishops and saying, look, your opposition to this is just political partisanship. It's not serving the American people. That takes a lot of bravery to be a liberal minority and stand up against a vast conservative majority. I wonder how many atheists are brave enough to do something like that. Now this is the last link. I promise. I told you it was going to finish soon. This is about a few groups of progressive Catholics who were outraged over a decision of a Roman Catholic school in Massachusetts because they were going to rescind the admission of an 8-year-old student because his parents are lesbian. Patrick Whelan, president of the Catholic Democrats, said, quote, "The idea that a child might be punished because he does not live with his two biological parents is antithetical to notions of Christian charity and Catholic social justice." So yeah, there are a multitude of people, groups fighting against religious dogma, and in some cases fighting up against pretty much their entire church's position, and yet they still have the bravery to go out there and fight for what they believe that their religion is saying. A lot of them, I think, with more bravery than a lot of atheists have, where they're actually doing something in the real world, where atheists are just making videos. It's very easy to ignore criticism and stuff when you're behind a computer, but when it's right there next to you, I think we should give these theists a lot more support and help than they're getting from some atheists who think that these people aren't doing anything, or they're not doing enough. So to all the atheists who think that the moderates should speak up more, or they don't do enough, is this not enough? Should they do more? What do you think they could do more? What would satisfy you? Have you done anything like these people have, standing up against their peers and saying, no, I'm going to fight for what I believe, even if it's against what the majority of people think? We should be supporting these people, not demonizing them just because we're too lazy to go and find out about what moderate religious people are actually doing, because in a lot of cases they're doing a lot more than what we're doing. Cheerio, everyone.